Hi guys, welcome back to another sewing tutorial. My name is Angela and thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new here, you're welcome. Consider subscribing and don't forget to turn on the bell icon so that you get to know anytime I post new videos. And for my returning subscribers, thank you so much for always coming back to check my videos out. So today I'm going to show us an amazing sewing trick using the honeycomb pleating method. So if you're interested, let's get started. Alright, we're going to be focusing only on the bodice, and here I have my satin. This is where we're going to be creating the magic, and here I have my pattern paper. Like I said earlier, we'll just focus only on the bodice because I want this tutorial to be very quick. So the first thing to do is to note the bodice length that you're working with. So for mine it is 8.5. This is for a year old, it's 8.5. And the next thing to note is the chest, or the largest measurement that you're working with, and it's always the chest measurement. So mine, it is 5.75. that is to say it is 23 inches. You know, this is just one piece, so if you multiply this by 4, making it 23 inches. So the front side is 11 and half and the back side is 11 and half. So I want this to be only on the front side. That is to say I'll be using the 11 and half to make this. So now after noting that, I'm going to multiply whatever I have here. Like for this front it is 11.5. You're going to multiply that by 3. So 11.5 you multiply by 3. Work with your own measurement, and then after doing that we are going to be using 1 inch to pleat. So we're going to be pleating it using the inverted pleating method. So before all that, I want to multiply what I just explained now, the 11.5 by 3, and then cut it out. This is what I have after multiplying. The 11.5 by 3 is 34.5. So that is what I have as the width, and the height I have here is 9 inches. Remember that the bodice length actually it is 8.5, but I decided to add 1 inch because sometimes after pleating you get to see that the length of what you're working with will no longer be enough. It tends to become short, so make sure to always add extra. At the end of the day you can always cut that part out. So now I am going to start pleating. Remember I said we're going to be using the inverted pleating method first before we'll now use our hand needle to create the look that I want to use. Now you can see that I left like 2 inches here space before I started the first pleat, and I am using 1 inch. That is for the pleats. It is 1 inch. You can see that. Okay, I'm using 0.75. That is what I am using for each of the pleats. So I am going to pin. I'm going to pin, and then I will take the second one, making sure that it's also 0.75, and put it together and pin. Okay, so I'll just pin. Although when I want to sew, I'll be sewing it inside, not on top like this. I'm going to sew that inside. I'm going to show you when we get to that part. Now after doing this, you decide how many inch you want to have as the space between each of your pleats. So I'll also maintain 1 inch. Okay, from this center I just want it to be 1 inch. Then you fold. We're going to continue like that until I will exhaust all that I have here. So after doing that, it's time to sew this part. Okay, now on this on this waistline I am going to do the same, but for the waistline I will sew in. Remember that the bodice length is 8.5 and I added 1 inch. So I am going to stitch that when I'm closing the plate, I'll just make it say 2.5. Okay, I don't want whatever I want to create to get to this waistline, and I don't want it to get to the neckline as well. So we need to sew this to a particular point and end it there before we create the look that we want this part to have. So before we get to that part, I'll also explain better so you understand very well. So after sewing it, this is what I have, and as you can see, this is how the back looks, and this is the front. So what I did here, I'm going to explain a bit. After folding the pleat, instead of sewing this way, you just need to sew inside, you know, kind of close this part, so that by the time we adjust it now to give us the pleat form, this other side is going to be straight. Okay, and I did the same on this lower side. Now you can see that I did not start from the edge. For the upper side I used 3 inches, while the lower side I used 2 inches. I believe I explained that later. I didn't want whatever I want to create on this part to touch or to get to the neckline or at the waist line, so that was why I had to use 3 inches and 2 inches for the lower part. So after this side now, I'm going to fold it in to create the pleats. Okay, let me turn it the wrong side. So I'm going to fold this way. This is now the pleat. This is the actual pleat at the back. Then I'm going to do all the pleats and then stitch it on this end and repeat the same on this other waist line. So after doing this part, I'll give it a good press and then get my needle to do the finishing part of this bodice. Okay, so this is very easy. Just give it a try. Let me give it a good press and then close stitch it on both ends, and then we continue. Right here you can see I just finished giving this a press. Okay, so now I'm going to start. The first thing I'm going to do is to measure from this point that my stitching end. I'm going to measure 0.75, and then you need to measure all so that everything is going to be the same. So after doing that, I'm going to take my needle and thread, and then this is the first thing I'm going to do. Now this is the side, so I'll start with this inner, this one that is like a pleat already, and then you're going to take those points that you mark and use your needle just to hold it together. This part is very easy, so I'll just pin it together like this. Okay, then you can decide to use your beads or your pearls just to close up the thread. That is if you don't want your thread to be visible. Now you can see I'm just tying it. There's nothing much to this part. I'm just tying it together, and then you use your pearls or your beads to close the thread. So this is the first one. I'm going to repeat the same, following the same method. Now this is the second one. I'll just pick the 2 points that I just marked. You can use your pencil to mark it so that everything will look the same. Okay, then I'll just tie it together just like that. So I'll just continue like this until I'll finish this first line that I just marked. So after finishing this first line, the other lines I'll just make them ½ inch. The first one, this particular one, is 0.75. The rest I'll just go ahead and mark it as ½ inch. Okay, so this is what I have. I'm trying to place it well inside. Okay, then I'll take this off. So let me just quickly finish it using the same way. When I get to this end, I will show you how to secure the second line. Alright, this is what I have after holding it together for the first line. Now for the second line, I am using 1 inch. Okay, if you want, you can also maintain the 0.75. You can also use half depending on the age that you're working with. So the rest now I'm going to maintain 1 inch. So it's very simple. You can see that I've notched my 1 inch so that everything is going to be equal. So this second line, we are just going to join it together with the other side. This time we are not folding it together. You will just join it together with the next pleat, as you can see what I am doing. And at this particular one, you can see that I am starting with this end. For the first line I did not touch this side, so note that. So this second one I am starting with this end, and then it's still the same way. You just tie it up and then use your bit and then close it up. So I'll just continue like this until I exhaust this second line. You can see that it's very easy. After this second line, I'll also fold the next line like this. Let me just show you one time. So this is the second one. You can see that I am folding it together with the next edge or the next pleat. Okay, then I'll just tie it up. So at the end of the day, this part is going to be open. Now for the last line, I'll just show you what to do at once. I also marked my one in. This is the last one. So this last one you also fold. Okay, this last one you repeat whatever you did on the first line. You fold it together now and also tie it as well. Okay, so I'll just tie. Okay, so this is the shape that I am trying to create. This is also known as smocking. Okay, so this is what I have at the end of the day. This center is going to be open while you fold this other line. So I'll just continue like that until I finish. When I finish, I will now take my pattern to place it on this to cut out the shape before we join the rest of the dress. So this is what we were able to create. As you can see, it's looking so unique. You can actually make this on the sleeve, at the hem of the dress. You can just look for a way to fix it on the waist, exactly on the waistline as well. All right, so this is how to make this pleating tutorial. So that is it for today. Please subscribe if you have not, and I will see you all in my next video.